Attorney General, the FBI, the ATF, HSI, the U.S. Marshals, IRS, DEA, Secret Service, and NCIS. There is no way that we could have done this by ourselves. In this nation, when horrific incidents like this happen, law enforcement steps up. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Colonel. General Ronan?
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. You know, I would describe the emotions on the investigative team, including our prosecutors and the agents, detectives from both state police, Providence, as mixed. You know, there is a sense of completeness in terms of the investigation, an investigation that's, if not the hardest, among the handful of hardest investigations that I've ever been involved with. And the sense that we owed those 2 dead Brown students and the 9 injured Brown students and the students who were in that auditorium that weren't injured, and the Brown community and the Providence community results. The teams worked really hard. I think I mentioned that to you almost every night that we met with you. I wish they were all up here with us. That we wouldn't fit here, but it was remarkable to see the cooperation between the FBI agents, the ATF agents, the HSI agents, the Providence police detectives, the state police detectives, our prosecutors. And I will say that everybody brought a certain expertise to the table, but it is nevertheless a sad moment when you think about those young people who were hurt, injured, or worse. 2 of them are now deceased. You know, to me, this was always going to be an investigation where something was going to break it open. We were going to pull threads. We were going to gather evidence that would lead us in a particular direction. And I will say that if we were with you less than, well, I guess now more than 24 hours ago, we had that picture of that second individual. And I would say within an hour, no more than 2, I think it was under an hour, that person came forward to 2 Providence police officers over on the east side and said he had information, that he was that person and he had information that could help this case. And I remember last night watching his interview, and he blew this case right open. He blew it open. And that's how these cases sometimes go. You can feel like you're not making a lot of progress. You can feel like you're chasing leads and they don't work out. But the team keeps going because, you know, those of us with experience know that you're going to pull a lot of threads, and it's not always the first one that's going to get you where you need to go. But when you do crack it, you crack it. And that person led us to the car, which led us to the name, which led us to the photographs of that individual renting the car, which matched the clothing of our shooter here in Providence, that matched the satchel that we see here in Providence. He was found dead with a satchel, with 2 firearms, and evidence in the car that that matches exactly what we see at the scene here in Providence. And so I know that you and the public have questions about how we got from a place yesterday where all we could share with you was a photograph of someone we wanted to talk to where we got to tonight. And so we got a state arrest warrant for murder today that was signed by a district court judge for this individual. There won't be a prosecution now, of course, but that affidavit is on our website, and you will be able to see more and read more about how this investigation unfolded. I won't get you all the way there because there are some things that happened afterwards which led us to this suspect's body in New Hampshire. But it will, I think, tell you, give you a sense of the work that went into this by the line prosecutors and the line agents and detectives from the agencies that work so well together. So, as I said, it's with mixed emotions. It is unimaginable the pain that the parents and families of the deceased are feeling tonight and will feel undoubtedly for quite a while. But I hope that by bringing this person to justice, that we can at least give them the beginnings of some measure of closure. And I want to thank you all for your patience with me when I got a little testy with some of you. Those of you who know me from Rhode Island, you know that's my nature. So I really want to thank you for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you, General. As has been said several times, the partnership with the FBI was invaluable. And so it's a pleasure to introduce Special Agent in charge of FBI, Ted Dox.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening. My name is Ted Dox, Special Agent in charge of FBI Boston. We got him. Shortly before 9 o'clock tonight, the FBI SWAT team executed court-authorized search warrants at a storage unit facility in Hampshire Road in Salem, New Hampshire. This is where we located Claudio Neves Valente, the individual who we believe was responsible for the Brown shooting. The latest developments in an intense 5-day manhunt, and as a result of an incredible amount of work dedicated by the law enforcement team standing here before you tonight. Every single agency brought their unique skills and expertise to this investigation. And we're motivated by the victims and survivors of this horrific incident. Even though the suspect was found dead tonight, our work is not done. There are many questions that need to be answered. There's a lot of evidence that needs to be processed, and most importantly, the victims and their families deserve special care and consideration. The FBI and our partners across Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and New Hampshire will continue to search for answers for the victims, survivors, and their families to see what motivated this individual to carry out such a senseless act of violence. From the onset of this critical incident, it's been all hands on deck. The FBI deployed approximately 500 special agents, analysts, task force officers, and support personnel to assist our partners in this investigation. In addition to this extra manpower, all our specialty teams were activated, including Evidence Response Team, SWAT, Divert, and Victim Services Response Team, just to name a few. A special thanks to you, the media, as well as to the community. My sincere thanks to Colonel Perez, Colonel Weaver, AG Nerona, Brown University PD, and all of our partners. This was truly a team effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Another critical partner at every step along the way was the ATF. I'd like to introduce Special Agent in charge of the ATF, Tom Greco.
Good evening. My name is Tom Greco, the Special Agent in charge of ATF Boston. From the moment 911 reports of the shooting at Brown University came through, there's been an around-the-clock effort to identify the perpetrator and to protect the community. The men and women of ATF, including our special agents, our intelligence research specialists, and our support personnel, have been proud to support and be part of that effort, leveraging our unique experience, dedicated investigators, canine handlers, and crime gun intelligence technology, such as NIBIN, the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, to compare ballistic evidence, and our other available tools to support the investigation, and to help identify Claudio Neves Valente as the individual that we believe was responsible. ATF's mission, first and foremost, is to protect communities from violent crime. Each individual in this country deserves to live in peace and security in their homes, in their schools, in their places of worship, and in the streets. The actions of Claudio Neves Valente stole that right and terrorized the community. I'd like to emphasize to the public, this was a highly dangerous individual capable of extreme violence. And we're happy to have been part of this investigation and proud to have worked with our partners to identify him and see this through. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. From the very outset on Saturday, from our first press conference in the fire station to today, Rhode Island Governor Dan McKee has been by Providence's side every step of the way. The city of Providence is incredibly grateful for the governor's support, the state police, not just their assistance with the investigation, but in supporting the broader community. It's a pleasure to introduce Governor Dan McKee.
Thanks, Mayor, and clearly your staff, I feel the same way with the team that you have, that we were happily able to assist. And as a former mayor, many of here in the audience know that I've been a mayor, some don't. But I empathize and sympathize with the position that you were in and the fact that you needed people to follow the lead of the Providence Police and to partner in with some extraordinary people, whether it's with the FBI or the ATF, and of course our state police as well. From the very beginning, my thoughts as a dad was with the families who suffered from the shooting. The unthinkable happened in our state. The unthinkable happened in Providence. The unthinkable happened at Brown University. And we're going to be forever changed. But our commitment from the state level is to continue to support Providence, Brown, and the people of the state of Rhode Island in the recovery. That's going to take a great deal of time. But I do say this, the professionalism that I saw in the law enforcement should make everyone that lives in our state and beyond our borders feel very safe. These things happen, but it requires some professional help in law enforcement to bring it to the conclusion that we've been able to bring it to. So Colonel, thank you, everybody involved. And again, we will stand with Providence and Brown University and the people of the state of Rhode Island to provide the help that will be needed in the recovery in a trauma like this.
Thank you, Governor. Throughout the year, the Rhode Island State Police is an incredible partner to Providence, but during this investigation, their support was invaluable. I introduce Colonel of the State Police, Colonel Weaver.
My name is Colonel Darnell Weaver, the Superintendent of the Rhode Island State Police. I want to begin by recognizing the excellent and exceptional efforts of the Providence Police Department and Colonel Oscar Perez. From the very first moments of this investigation, the Providence Police Department has worked collaboratively and relentlessly day and night on this investigation while protecting our capital city. Their detectives followed facts, developed evidence, and pursued every credible lead. Colonel Perez's leadership has been steady and decisive, focused on identifying the person responsible for this tragedy. As always, our troopers stepped up, working shoulder to shoulder with the Providence Police and our local, state, and federal partners. I want to give particular recognition to our detectives whose diligence and dedication contributed to this investigation. Our detectives and division leadership operated as a unified team, sharing intelligence, resources, and expertise. This has truly been an all-hands-on-deck investigation, as virtually every trooper has taken extra shifts to help support the efforts in Providence, and I have never been prouder to be a member of the Rhode Island State Police. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the Rhode Island State Police, and this case stands out among one of the most challenging in our state's history. The sheer volume of digital evidence, the complexity of the investigation, and the intense public interest played an extraordinary demands on everyone involved. Despite that pressure, investigators remain disciplined, methodical, and focused on facts. We are grateful for the assistance of the public, particularly those who shared our information, provided tips, and gave us doorbell camera footage and access to their property. We are also thankful for the ongoing support of Rhode Islanders. We know that you have been with us through this entire investigation. I also want to be very clear about something else. Criminal investigations are grounded in evidence, not speculation or online commentary. The endless barrage of misinformation, disinformation, rumors, leaks, and clickbait were not helpful in this investigation. Distractions and unfounded criticisms do not support this work. They complicate it and threaten to undermine the justice we seek for the victims and the grieving families. Despite these challenges, good police work prevailed, and we have lessons that we can bring forward from these long days ahead. To the Brown University community and the people of Rhode Island, be assured that this case reflects the law enforcement community and what we are capable of, and that we are committed to this state. We will continue to support the victims and the broader community as the healing continues. Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel. Providence is so proud to be home to Brown University, and we are committed to working together with them in the future as they help heal their community as we do our broader Providence community. We continue to give condolences to the deceased and our prayers to those who are recovering. The leader of Brown has been a great partner through this whole process. I'd like to introduce President Christina Paxson from Brown University.
Thank you. You know, nothing can really fully bring closure to the lives that have been shattered over the past week, but this may allow our community to move forward and begin a path of repair and recovery and healing. I want to thank the dedicated law enforcement agencies that have worked so tirelessly on this case, really around the clock, as well as our neighbors and others who participated in giving tips and helping with the investigation. We hope that this outcome tonight brings an increased sense of safety for our community at Brown and in the surrounding area. This has been a period of great fear and anxiety for many people, and now perhaps some form of relief. Truly, this week has been devastating for our community in a number of ways, including the experiences that members of our community have had with being targeted by online rumors and accusations. And I hope that this development also means an end to this truly troubling activity. So we remain focused on the safety and security of our community and in support for the victims of this senseless violence. Now, we know the public and our own Brown community members will want to know more about the individual now identified by law enforcement as the suspect in last weekend's shooting. And we can confirm the following to the best of our knowledge, based on our review in the very short time since law enforcement authorities made us aware of this development. And we provided this information to law enforcement as they build their case and wrap up the investigation. So Claudia Manuel Neves Valente was enrolled at Brown from the fall of 2000 to the spring of 2001. He was admitted to Brown's graduate school to study in the Master's of Science PhD program in physics, beginning on September 1st, 2000. And he took a leave of absence effective April 2001 before formally withdrawing effective July 31st, 2003. During his time at Brown, Nueves Valente was enrolled only in physics classes. The majority of physics classes at Brown have always been held within the Barris and Hawley classrooms and labs. Now, detailed records indicating where specific courses were held don't extend back to 2001. But we can say that physics classes typically require access to specialized equipment, including demonstration carts that are a fixed asset in some of Barris and Hawley classrooms. So I think it's safe to assume that this man, when he was a student, spent a great deal of time in that building for classes and other activities as a PhD student in physics. He has no current active affiliation with the university or campus presence. So again, we thank law enforcement and so many others for their extensive work on this case, day and night, and we look forward to a sense of restored safety for Brown, Providence, and the Rhode Island communities. Thank you.
Thank you, President Paxson. The last speaker, and then we will take your questions, is the Chief of the Brown Police Department, Chief Chapman. Remember, his officers were the first to respond on Saturday, and we're so grateful for both their immediate and heroic response and their partnership over the last 5 days. Chief.
I want to express my ongoing prayers and care concern for our entire community. I certainly also want to acknowledge and thank the men and women of the Brown University Police and Public Safety for their efforts. As you see, this was a Herculean task and required a lot of collaboration and work. And our officers and our public safety personnel were shoulder to shoulder with these assets. I do want to also thank all of you who have helped citizens and law enforcement. That partnership and collaboration means the world to us, and we couldn't have gotten there without you. So thank you.
Thank you, Chief. We'll now open up to questions. Go ahead. Go ahead.
What led authorities to link the incidents between Brown University and MIT? I can follow on to that.
Yeah, I'll start. I'll just tell you that a lot of the information and evidence that we ended up gathering linked us to a connection up in Massachusetts, but obviously at the MIT. But I feel a respect to the authorities in Mass as well as the FBI that's for them to come in. But I'll tell you that the groundwork that started in the city of Providence by our detectives, the detective division under the command of Major LaPayan, as well as the federal partners that we had in our room upstairs, and ATF, the FBI, led us to that connection. And so that was great work.
Does this FBI want to weigh in on that? And then I have a follow-up.
I think through that particular link that you're talking about, that case is being worked out of Massachusetts with the leadership of U.S. Attorney Leah Foley. I believe that they're having a press conference today as well, where they'll reveal more to the general public at that time. I'd be remiss to start and kind of talk on this, to let them kind of had first dibs to kind of be the ones to tell the public about those particular links.
And your
But your follow-up, sir.
As for the second person who came forward, what did that person tell you? And did that person know the shooter?
So yeah, obviously I had mentioned at the last press conference that it was a person that we wanted to speak with. The work of the video collections that we had led us to identify that there was a person that actually encountered this individual. So it corroborated everything that we saw. We saw our person of interest. We saw that there was a vehicle involved. When this person came in, broke the case in the sense that explained to us exactly what we thought we had seen and put that individual at the crime scene. Obviously, that was the break, because we knew that we were in the right direction to ensure that we were going after this individual, but obviously took his life.
Colonel,
Go ahead. Steve.
Thank you, Mayor. Did Mr. Valenti act alone, and is there an anti-Semitism component behind, do you expect?
As far as we know, Steve, he acted alone.
And is there an anti-Semitism component to this?
No, that we know of, no.
John.
Colonel, what was the events that led to the shooting facility? So was he pursued there? Did he know authorities were going after him? When was he last alive? Like, how did that play out?
So it plays out in the sense that I just stated, we collected all the evidence. We were able to learn that there was a rental vehicle. We learned about that vehicle. There was financial records that were verified by the FBI, obviously, and other agencies. I'm sorry, actually So another agency, so multiple agencies that verify financial records that brought us to that site to know that he had actually rented a site at the storage unit. And then we ended up in Salem.
In a follow-up,
Yeah.
when he did that, did he know authorities were coming, or did he just go and, like, how long had he been in that storage unit?
That we're not aware of, John, in the sense that all we knew is that we were on a manhunt, and that's what he led us to. So,
Amanda?
Oh, thanks. Chief, I have some questions for you about Claudia. So he graduated, well, he didn't graduate, he was at Brown more than 20 years ago. His last known address was in Miami, but now he's here at Brown University, potentially also at MIT. What do you know about what brought him up here?
there's going to be unknown answers that we have no answer as far as that. Obviously, came up here and committed this horrific incident and this tragedy, and that's all we knew. Our mission was to ensure that we could find them and bring them to justice. But yeah, no,
motive
at this point, correct.
And my follow-up is of the evidence that you've collected. Have you collected the handgun that you believe was used in the shooting? Have you collected any type of manifesto or evidence that he planned more shootings?
So as far as I know, that's the FBI evidence recovery team is up in Salem, New Hampshire, and they're collecting whatever evidence is up there. This happened just now as before we came up here.
Bill?
Any criminal history, political affiliations, any social media posts, anything of that sort that you can report to us about Mr. Valenti?
Nothing that I know of, Steve.
Behind him. Go ahead, white shirt.
Is there any indication that Mr. Valenti was planning any future attacks?
Nothing that we know of, no.
In the way back.
Special Agent Docs, can you also tell us if the connection, I know you said you can't talk too much about the MIT, but the fact that it was a physics professor at MIT and in the physics building and he was studying physics, have you tied all that up, and does that lead, why target one person in Massachusetts and then a whole class here in Providence?
Yes, it is true that Mr. Valente was a physics student. Also, we know that the MIT, the victim there, was in that discipline as well. I will tell you that there's multiple phases to an investigation. And so now, in a sense that we know the subject is deceased. Now that investigation continues to find out all of those answers to your question, sir.
Did you go to school with the professor? Did you go to school with the professor who was killed? Did Brown answer that?
It is believed that in Lisbon, that those two individuals attended the same university in Portugal.
You have a follow-up in the back.
En español, si nos pudiera decir también unas palabras, ya sea ahorita o cuando terminemos.
Muy poquito.
Go for it.
But,
Sorry, empiezo desde el principio.
Lo que nos puedan resumir acerca del caso, qué fue lo que conllevó a que ustedes pudieran dar con el paradero del sospechoso y las conexiones que tuvieron, cómo llegaron a rastrearlo y más que nada a qué atribuye todo esto.
So the question was if I can briefly explain how we got to this individual and what occurred. So, verdaderamente lo que pasó, obviamente el incidente del sábado 13 nos llevó a tomar evidencias, colectar evidencias de videos, de informaciones, y expliqué que es muy importante el trabajo de los policías y los detectives en el piso, haciendo el trabajo duro, recolectando videos, recolectando testimonios. En este tipo de casos recibimos información, obviamente, de los videos que colectamos. Nos dimos cuenta que había un vehículo de interés y una persona de interés desde el principio. Eso nos llevó a después informarnos de la placa del carro, la descripción del carro, y eso nos llevó a darnos cuenta de que esa persona había rentado el vehículo en una compañía en Massachusetts. Después de que fuimos a Massachusetts, cogimos videos de la persona. Esa persona era en la misma descripciones de la persona de interés de nosotros acá en la ciudad de Providence. De ahí pasamos con los agentes federales a investigar un poco más y llegamos a los récords financieros que nos llevó a Salem, New Hampshire, en esta noche. Allá hubo una entrada táctica del equipo del FBI y encontramos que esta persona se había quitado la vida ellos mismos. Ahora estamos investigando más si hay algo que necesitamos saber más de él.
Alex.
Colonel, or is there a note or manifesto of some kind, and is that providing any information about a motive or anything that they might have found in the
Again, the FBI recovery team and forensics are up in Salem, New Hampshire. At this point, we don't have any of that.
Any indication of why now? What's the significance behind why this happened on Saturday?
that we don't know.
Yeah, I don't think we know the answer to that question. I think there's a lot of unknowns with respect to motive. I mean, I think that the real issue here is the key was to identify this person, as we talked about yesterday. I think there are other answers that are coming, but once we were able to identify him, thanks to that individual who came forward, who led us to a plate, which led us to a rental car, which led us to that he rented that car in his own name. That really broke the case open. But in terms of why Brown, I think that is a mystery. I think there may be something going on in Massachusetts that I'm not fully familiar with because we're working this angle, but I think the Massachusetts authorities may be able to share that. Yeah, I don't think we have any idea why now or why Brown, why these students, why this classroom. That is really unknown to us, and it may become clear. I hope that it does, but it hasn't as of right now.
Fox,
Yeah,
Fox, go
This
ahead.
is for the Colonel or the Attorney General. At 2:16, there was a surveillance video that showed the second person that apparently blew this case wide open, and also Mr. Valente. You see them disappear behind bushes. Was this second person following the shooter? Did he recognize him and confront him? What was that interaction like? And I have a follow-up.
That's a great question, and I'll be all explained in the affidavit that the general stated they will be released. But I'll give you a brief sort of explanation about that. The person that we wanted to speak with had an interaction with this individual earlier in the day, then observed them later at that time where you just stated, and decided that he was going to encounter him and asked him why he was inside Brown. At that point, the person, the subject of interest, Neves, actually ran. He was caught up by our person that we wanted to speak with. There was sort of a conversation between the two of them, and Neves asked him, "Why are you harassing me?" And at that point, the person that broke the case walked away. And that information was critical to us because he was able to corroborate what our detectives were seeing on video, and he was able to provide a great explanation.
And my follow-up question
Yes.
is, why did it take a citizen to notice a suspicious person right next to Brown University and not the police? And also, how long was the vehicle parked where it was? And was it days, hours, minutes?
It appeared to be days as far as the evidence. Why would a civilian observe that to be suspicious? It's a great point. And I like the fact that you're mentioning that and bringing that up. That's what we should all be doing, right? And it's just personality. Some people are more interested in finding out what others are doing. In this particular case, this person decided that he wanted to, and I'm glad he did.
Should the police be interested in that?
That's it.
Citizens as well?
In the back.
Now that the suspect, Attorney General, now that the suspect won't be prosecuted, can you explain what he yelled in the classroom to America tonight so people can
Sure.
feel a little more comfortable?
Sure.
Was it something, terrorist related? Was it something specific to the kids in that class?
Yeah.
What did he say? Can you now tell us?
Yeah, well, back to that question just for a minute, just to clarify that, they had a interaction in the bathroom in Barris and Holly. So, I don't know, the Providence Police is obviously not going to patrol Barris and Holly. That's a question frankly, for Brown and their police department. So they had an interaction there, and then our citizen, followed him out because to him, as he explained it to us, this guy did not belong there. And so that's why he followed him out. In terms of what was said, I don't know any more today than what I told you yesterday, or the day before. There are some witnesses who said he said nothing. There are some that say he made a barking noise. Don't ask me. I don't know why. And that's it. There is no other spoken word beyond that we are aware of as we stand before you tonight. And we have spoken to everybody that we have been able to locate who's been inside that building.
And just to the special agent in charge, my follow-up question is, can you just be clear to the people of Massachusetts, and I know you said the people in Norfolk County investigators and asked, but you did say a few days ago that you talked to the colonel of the state police and said
I did.
there's no connection between Brookline and what happened here in Rhode Island. But now you're saying there was a connection. So are you saying that he shot up Brown University, then 2 days later he was at this house in Brookline to shoot this MIT professor, and then he just drove up to Salem, New Hampshire for no reason? How did he get into a storage facility?
No, I think that's a great question. My actual statement was that we didn't see a connection at that time. But absolutely, I spoke to the colonel. Right now, that case is being resided over by U.S. Attorney Leah Foley. They're having a press conference at 10 o'clock tonight, I believe. I think at that time, they will speak to that particular case. I would be getting a little bit ahead of my skis if I spoke to that case without consultation with Leah Foley and her team, as we've been in the trenches working this up to the minute today, sir.
I guess 2 days ago, you didn't know they were connected. Now you're saying they appear to be.
Yes, and that's how cases often go. I would say at that time, when that question was asked of me, there was no indication of a link at that time. As we've talked throughout this week, these breadcrumbs develop, and we'll see what she has to say today at 10 p.m.
If I could just, I just want to jump in here on that, please. I just want to jump in here on that because it's a good question. It's an important one. So just to put everyone's mind at ease who's listening now, he just drive to some random storage area. We found records with the help of the FBI and others that was his storage area. So he rented a car in Boston. He drove it. We were able to find that car in New Hampshire. We were able to find evidence in the car from looking at it from the outside that connected this individual to our crime scene here in Rhode Island. We were able to find visual evidence of him inside that storage facility, which in my judgment matches him to the Massachusetts scene. So you'll hear more, as the special agent said, but there is no question that was his storage unit, that he had a particular car, that we found that car because of this citizen coming forward and giving us a description of the car. And then our individual who came forward, we knew he was telling the truth because we could see it on the videotape. And so that was a series of things that broke this case. And that led us to Salem, where the suspect was found dead.
Steph. Believed to be living in Miami. Did he fly here at some point? How long was he in Providence for? And when did he obtain the guns?
Go ahead.
Yeah, he did, like I said, it'll be in the affidavit, but he did fly into Providence, I believe, earlier October, I believe. That's the right date. And what was the other question? I'm sorry, Steph.
And did he buy the guns here? Or did he get the guns?
So I'm sorry, I can't answer you.
We don't know the answer to that, Steph, as we stand here right now.
Okay, he can't fly with them, so assuming he got them sometime after he arrived.
Well, that's possible. What we do know is that he was moving around New England in that October, November, December area. You remember, we just we know that there's a body in New Hampshire. We know that there are guns at the scene. It still remains to be examined, comparing those guns to the ballistics evidence we have in Rhode Island. And I imagine they'll do that in Massachusetts. But again, that's somebody else's investigation. And then, of course, we want to make sure that we match the DNA. But we are 100% confident that this is our target, and that this case is closed from a perspective of pursuing people involved.
And Steph, just to add, I think Special Agent Doc stated, obviously we didn't know who he was. And so it's very difficult to know what a person did prior without any knowledge of who that person is.
Dan.
Can I just ask Special Agent this question? It sounds like from everything everybody's saying that the person who came forward to speak to you is kind of a hero in this story in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
We know that there's a $50,000 reward. Did he get the reward?
You know, I will say that in this particular situation, that individual will likely get absolutely some aspect out of that award. We've had a lot of other tips, I will tell you as well, that have come in from the public. And so I don't deal typically with the distribution of those rewards, but I mean, it would be logical to think that absolutely that individual would be entitled to some of that reward. Yes, sir.
Second row, red shirt. Go ahead. Yeah, you.
Thank you. Fox News Digital, do we know when or how the suspect left Providence? For the crime.
Well, we know he left Providence and committed a homicide in another state. And that, but we don't know. I'm sorry, how did he leave?
No, so do we know when he left Providence?
Yeah, when he left, that's what as far as we know that he left, but we didn't, I believe his last activity was obviously when we found out he was in another state committing another crime.
Pat.
Pat Ford, Coalition Radio. I'll throw this out to all of you with particular regards to the Brown University president. A recurring theme for the last few days has been an outreach, ultimately successful, to the people of Rhode Island and the people of New England to track this individual down. While at the same time, we've got this sort of passive aggressive criticism of individuals who are being actively asked to engage via social media, who are wildly spreading rumors, some of which could have possibly emanated anywhere than law enforcement. And I do have a follow-up. So would anyone like to respond to that? I mean, it's kind of condescending to a lot of people. I know, Governor, if you're confused, that's not uncommon, but the.
All right, that's uncalled for.
the
All
criticize
right, we're moving on. Current, no, current.
Came forward with the case breaking tips. Was that information originally posted online? Or shared, or was that person encouraged to come forward based on what people online?
Correct. There was a tip that was placed online, and obviously we were doing our due diligence to find out who that tipster was. And then we were able to identify this person who we wanted to speak with. And then we learned that that person was actually the same person that put the tip on that up that you're speaking about.
Brian.
The
I'm sorry?
images. That person lived in the area.
It was the same person that we brought into the police station to speak with.
The images
Brian.
that you showed at the beginning, where you can see Mr. Valente's face, where were those images taken from?
They were taken from the car rental business place that we learned
So
about.
none of them were at Brown.
No.
President Paxton, if you could, the situation is described that you had the suspected gunman and this other person had an encounter in the engineering building hours before the shooting. I had been told by an employee that there have been concerns raised at Brown previously about people getting in the building. Have you heard those, and was anything done to address those concerns about people getting into the building?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I think we're going to have to look back and say, you know, we don't know how this person got in. We don't know when they came in. We do know that the building was unlocked that day for exams, and that's something we're going to have to
Had you
look
heard
into.
concerns from staff members in the past
I
about
have
security at the
not
building?
personally heard concerns, but yeah.
Dan.
President Paxton, Dan Janney from NBC 10. I want to go back to the question I asked you Saturday night when I first arrived on the scene. There were no cameras in this building. And law enforcement, some that are standing up behind you, have said if Brown had cameras in that part of the building, we would have gotten this guy. And it may have stopped this swirling action. Can you answer that question for me?
Well, I don't think we have said the locations of cameras at Brown. We
But
have
there's
12
no cameras in that
we
building
have-
because why would they take it from a rental car agency?
We have 1,200 cameras at Brown.
But not in that building.
We have some in that building. It's a large complex. And I think what you would see is the video evidence in this case, from my perspective, I'm not a law enforcement agent, has been incredibly helpful. The moving of the person around the neighborhood, those video images, they help crack this case. So I think video was important. And as the Attorney General explained at a recent press conference, this individual was not spending his time on the Brown campus. He came into a building on the edge of the campus. He left. He was in the neighborhoods. The investigation focused on the neighborhoods. The video was there. And that was really, really instrumental in cracking the case.
And
But
my
you
second
can ask them.
and this is my follow-up, Madam President, if you'd stay at the podium. Yes, video played a big role in this case. The neighbor's video, the rental car video, but not the video from the building that he walked in freely both before when he got in the confrontation and when he came back in and decided to kill people. You didn't have cameras in that building. Just say it so we can get this over it. And my next question is, will you put
Dan, you got
cameras,
one follow-up.
will you
Yeah.
put the cameras in the building? Will
Yeah.
there be more cameras in that building?
Yeah, you know, I think we need to look back. We'll look at everything that is done, but I do not think a lack of cameras in that building it had anything to do with what happened there.
Thank you.
And we will
Thank you,
go
Madam
forward.
President.
Thank you.
Chris.
Question.
Tom.
Tom from the WPRO. Colonel Perez, I'm hearing from sources that the person that identified the shooter happened to be a homeless person that either lived around or inside that Barris and Holly building. Can you confirm more about this person for us? And then I have a follow-up for President Paxton.
I'll tell you, there was a person that was pretty attentive about his surroundings. I'll tell you, there was a person that was very cooperative and helpful to this investigation. And I'll tell you that he was a great individual that actually assisted us in getting us to this point where we're at. I'll tell you
Brown
that.
graduate?
He was, yes.
I have to say, he was incredibly articulate, and his testimony, had we needed it, would not only have been credible, it would have been persuasive. He was as outstanding a witness as I've seen, and he deserves a lot of credit. You know, recognizing there's a gunman on the loose, that the gunman knows he had this interaction with him, and he didn't. Once he knew that we were looking for his help, I mean, he came forward within an hour, and that person deserves a tremendous amount of credit. I don't know whether he's going to get the reward or not, but if I had a vote, he would.
All right, Tom, you got to follow. Are you done? Go ahead.
My question was for Chief Chapman, if you wouldn't mind. In October, the Brown Daily Herald reported that you had a vote of no confidence in your leadership, and students were concerned for their safety and the fact that you had prioritized desk jobs over having over field jobs and having more people patrolling the campus. Now, in light of this, do you accept any kind of responsibility for this? And now that we've given these prior warnings, are you going to reevaluate how the Brown police operate in the future now, so this doesn't happen again and these students can feel more safe on campus when they return?
Great. So as I stated earlier, I'm profoundly proud of the men and women of public safety and profoundly proud of our police department. We will continue with the heroic work that they've done and continue to work side by side with our partners. And everything else that comes with that is a continual effort to do what is best for the safety and security of our campus.
But will you reassess how the people are allocated within the department?
Every single day, we work and endeavor to keep our campus safe, whatever that entails and all that entails.
In the back.
Yes, Kimberly Dickey. I was wondering, maybe this question for the Colonel. Can you talk about, you said that 2 weapons were found in Valencia's car. Was that one of those weapons, the gun that was used to shoot here in Brown? Has that weapon been found?
That's all part of this continuing investigation. This just before we came downstairs, actually, as you all were watching, that was developing up in Salem, New Hampshire.
Can you say whether or not that the weapons were purchased?
Hold on a second.
Yeah, those firearms were found at the deceased body, not in a car. So he killed himself inside the storage unit, and the firearms were found at his in the area of his thigh and in the area of his feet. It was not in a car. There was evidence that was observed from outside the car that matched our crime scenes, meaning mask, clothing, satchel, which you can see on that video. And there was a main plate over a Florida plate. This guy was changing plates. One of the reasons it was so hard to find was he knew what he was doing. He was changing plates. And so, that's why the collective work of following and finding this car was made more difficult, because this guy was changing plates. So we got a main plate and we got a Florida plate on the same car in New Hampshire.
Patrick.
As he was a.
Oh, I'm sorry. Especially.
I was just going to add.
Please.
Tom Greco again from ATF. It's okay. As far as the ballistics evidence, I know that the last question concerned matching the guns found to the crime scene. As several people up here have said, this investigation is ongoing, and in many ways, in some ways, just beginning. Those weapons that were found at the scene, we will be using our tools such as NIBIN to compare the ballistic evidence to see if we have any matches. So we use those tools to rule things in and to rule them out as well. So we'll be following up on that throughout the remainder of the investigation.
Patrick.
Neves Valente was a Portuguese national. Under what status was he in the country, and how did he get into the country? Do we know that at this point? I have a follow-up after that.
You have that,
Yeah.
Oscar?
Yeah, I think, yeah, I do. So as far as we know, he had a student visa. He had came in here with a student visa, and we also had learned that he had applied to get a green card.
Do you know, sorry, I have a question. And for President Paxson, does Brown have
And
any-
Patrick, if I could just be clear on that, he got that lawful permanent resident status in September of 2017.
Thank you. I was going to ask, but then, and for President Paxson, has Brown had any communication from Neves Valente in the period after he left until now?
As far as I know, no, he has really gone off our radar. We will continue to cooperate with the police as they continue with the investigation to find anything we can find about him. But his last class that he took at Brown was in 2001.
Straight back.
This
Let's skip one.
question's for the Colonel or the Attorney General. If you hadn't focused on the wrong person of interest on day one, do you think the professor in Massachusetts could be alive?
Well, from the beginning, I've told you that this investigation is extremely complex and intense. And so we used every resource as soon as we responded to the call. I stated that earlier. I'm proud of the men and women of this department. Yes, we did find somebody that we thought obviously was the person, but we continued on. We continued on investigating. We continued on canvassing the areas. We continued on with video. And that's why we ended up where we're at now.
Yeah, if I can just jump in here, I just want to continue to answer that question. It's an important one. And the answer to that is this, and I tried to convey it a couple of days ago. We broke ourselves out into teams. So while the Providence team and the state police team and the ATF team were working here in Providence to follow up leads, develop whatever video evidence we can, which eventually led to all the steps that you've seen and are laid out in the affidavit, which is on our website, and it is multiple pages. You'll see the progression. So while the FBI were working Coventry, we were working here. Now, you may ask, well, what was it about Coventry that made us, for those of us who've been in law enforcement for a long time, why did we have to run that lead to ground? Here's why. When the FBI confronted him, initially, he was not cooperative. When they entered the room to secure it, there were guns in the room. One of them had a laser sight. The witnesses had told us there was a laser sight used in the course of the attack. Okay, we had to run that to ground. We couldn't just not run that to ground. That was a very promising lead. But that's why you don't get over your skis about, and word choice is important. So while we had to test those ballistics and test the DNA off those guns, and that DNA ruled this guy out, okay? But we had to run that lead to ground. But while we're running that lead to ground over the course of Sunday, for the most part, my memory's correct, we were working other leads, which eventually led us through a recreation by the great work of the team, including the marshals, by the way, that are up here. Movements, image of our cooperating witness comes in, and you've heard the rest. So, you know, this is the way these investigations work. You don't chase one and stop. We have chased more than one lead over the course of the last 4 to 5 days. There was one lead that we followed, didn't work out. There was another lead that we followed, didn't work out. There was another lead that we followed, didn't work out. So that's, at least in my mind, 5 different leads that one worked out, 4 didn't. But you're running them all down at the same time. So I can't offer any comfort in that regard. But I don't believe that we would have found this person any sooner, given the evidence that was available to us.
The way back.
Can you say why it took so long to get the tipster's tip? It looks like he posted on Reddit on Monday and then said on Reddit that he told the FBI. Was it lost in the FBI's tip?
We received the tip about that post and immediately acted on it. And so that's exactly what occurred. As soon as the tip came in, we had a tip center upstairs that was staffed, as I mentioned earlier, by detectives and agents. They were going through hundreds of tips that were coming in, hundreds. We were vetting them through, ruling them out, just like the general stated. We were making sure that whatever came in, we checked it to its entire to ensure that we weren't missing anything. And so when we got to that tip, obviously, it led us to that person that we wanted to speak with, and I told you the rest earlier. So.
Yeah, and I want to complete that too, because this is important. This person had to come forward. That's why we put the picture out. Once we put the picture out, he came forward, right? But we didn't know who that person was. We knew about what was on Reddit, but we didn't know who that person was. That's why when we identified another person, we didn't know when that person came forward that he was the Reddit poster. He then told us he was, okay? So all of these things kind of happened in that sequence. Go ahead, Chris.
This Valente figure, this is a question for President Paxton. Do we know why he left school early in 2001? Did he have a history of mental illness that was expressed during that time or reported in that time?
No, we learned his name very, very recently, and we haven't had a chance to really dig into the records, but we will if it helps with the investigation.
He's also
This is another question about
We had a
student-
follow-up
This is
question.
another question about a student visa. You said he's here on a student visa now. What school is he affiliated with? If he's here since he's not here?
General, we.
Yeah, so he's not here on a student visa now. He was initially. And then he applied for and received lawful permanent resident status in September of 2017. Okay?
Go right here.
What was Mr. Valente's profession and have you searched his residence?
Again, as I stated earlier, we just identified who obviously that person, and this developed pretty quickly. So that's all part of the investigation that's coming.
And can you talk about, was there any interaction between him and law enforcement before he died?
No, not that we know.
I have a follow-up for her.
There you
And
go.
that is, do you know any associates of his family members, friends, roommates? And if there are any in the United States, did any of them come forward through the process of this investigation?
No, not at this time. This evolved extremely quickly. We've been at this for 6 days. And so here we are, and we now identify who the person is. We're about to make an apprehension. As I stated earlier, he took his own life, but that's all part of the investigation that will continue about him. Go ahead.
Okay, so President Jackson, Chief Barrow said he had no known criminal history that you know of. You were asked about possible mental illness while he was here. When he was at Brown, did he have any grievances, disputes with anyone, any problems, any disciplinary issues, any problems at all that were documented?
Not that we know of at this point. I mean, again, these are very, very old records. You have to understand. We learned about this very recently. And I think going forward, as we want to learn more, we will cooperate with the investigation to give them the information they need.
Go ahead, in the white shirt.
Hi, Brittany, WCBB. This question is for Colonel Perez. You mentioned that Claudio was the primary suspect, primary focus from the beginning. If that's the case, can you elaborate more on why there was someone else detained initially, and the lead that led you to that person to being detained initially, if Claudio was the primary focus from the beginning?
Yeah, so
And I have a follow-up.
sure, Brittany, great question. So we have received a tip about that first person. We have received a tip about him wanting to get a permit to carry a firearm. And so that led us to also learn that he was a person who potentially could be, it was just where he was denied, and then he went to another department, and the descriptions led us there. So we had it vetted through. Obviously, the FBI responded, followed through that whole tip.
You're watching a live news conference out of Providence. The suspected Brown University killer and killer of a professor at MIT is dead. Police say he was 48-year-old Claudio Neves Valente, a former physics student at Brown University. He was of Portuguese descent.
So we've been hearing about the investigation around Brown. They say this was obviously tied to the MIT murder. We're going to go to Boston now. The U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts is holding a press conference with that angle of the investigation. All right, so we're working to get audio there. Why don't, in the meantime, while we work to get audio there, just recap where we are, because there have been a lot of huge developments this evening. So they have identified the shooter once again as Claudio Neves Valente, a Portuguese national who came to the United States more than 25 years ago to attend Brown University, where he attended for roughly a semester. Let's go back out to MIT or to Massachusetts now, where we're hearing more on the MIT angle of this.
And David Holcomb, Holcomb.
Will you be emailing the PDF?
We'll email the PDF, but it's going to take me a minute to get back down there. But again, if you're on the live stream and you need this photo, Caroline and I will try to get it to you like now. All right, so.
Thank you. You're welcome. Great. Thank you.
All right, it does not seem that they're ready to start that news conference up in Boston. So again, the suspected Brown University killer and killer of a professor at MIT is dead. Police say he was 48-year-old Claudio Neves Valente, a former physics student at Brown University. He was a Portuguese national. That's a picture right there of him. Valente was found dead in a storage facility in Salem, New Hampshire. This is relief for so many people in our community, because all of you have been on edge since this happened, and we can't lose sight of the fact that 2 students are dead, other people are injured at the hands of Claudio Neves Valente, according to all authorities. And we still, though, don't have a motive. We don't know why this happened. Why did he do this? Why did he choose Brown University? Why did he go after those students? He hadn't even been a student for many, many years there. Why?
Okay, I'm just gonna shut them off because they're not saying anything useful. Hold on. Okay, can you guys hear me okay? This is Brian O'Shea, host of Investigate Everything. So I don't know about you. I'm being very careful about saying something's wrong without having evidence. Let me just increase my face. There we go. Look, I've seen a lot of press conferences on such matters. I'm sure you have too. Don't worry, I'm monitoring the live over here to make sure we don't miss anything about the conference. I'll put it right back on as soon as I start. But I've never seen people so defensive when reporters are asking questions, especially when they supposedly had a victory, right? They supposedly got the guy. He committed suicide in the storage unit. I'm not sure why he committed suicide if he made it all the way to Salem, New Hampshire, which is strange. But again, we don't have any details. I want to be careful about speculating, but we can speculate as long as we make it clear we don't know. Okay, and I definitely want your comments on this. So, really quick, a little housekeeping here. Rum and soda. I just saw your email. I apologize. I did respond to you, and I will take a look at that. Thank you for reminding me. Rum and soda. It was reminding me that he sent me an email at my request, and I missed it. So I do apologize, but I got it. So, really quickly, U.S. Donnie, thanks for reposting. Thanks for listening. And of course, Epstein. Okay, don't. I'll put your. Is that if that's your own article? I don't mind sharing it, but I can't link it from here. So if you want to send it to me, you can. My email is in the description of the video on Rumble. What else we got? So it's the same guy. We don't know if it's the same guy. I don't even know if that's the guy. They said the suspect was this kind of wayfarer skinned fat guy. I don't know. I don't know. Just this whole thing, things don't add up. And I'm not saying they're wrong. Again, I don't want to turn this into a Candace Owens show, but I will say this. We know according to the press conference, the last address was in Miami. And so you guys don't, look for something. Okay, looks like something's happening. Okay, here we go. No, they're just replaying the same one. And I'm going to keep the Fox one up here just so we can keep an eye on it for when it begins. Okay. Okay, so all right, so I have that. I'm monitoring that. Just wanted you guys to see that so you know. And just if anyone sees it pop up, let me know so we don't want to miss anything. Because I don't know what to say. I mean, all right, let me just get my thoughts together because honestly, I was a bit taken aback. You could see how quickly the news moved. I did a title slide saying that they tracked this guy to Salem, New Hampshire. And then when I got the show set up as quickly as I could, he was supposedly already dead. So for those of you not familiar with the case, I'm sure you all know there was a shooting at Brown University over the weekend, very tragic. 2 students died, and I believe 9 were injured. And I believe that happened on Saturday. Now, also, shortly thereafter, there was a professor murdered at MIT. Now, this professor is from Portugal. He's a physicist, and his name is Nuno Loureiro. I don't speak Portuguese, but he was killed up at MIT. Someone came in, it was a home invasion. He was shot to death. I want to point out, and I'm glad Tim Pool covered it. I put out a tweet yesterday saying, hey, doing victimology, this professor was working on like fusion energy. Could have been, you got to look at all suspects. Could be radical. It could be a home invasion. Who knows? It could be an oil company. It could be all of these things. Right now, what I don't like about going back to this press conference is they try to wrap everything into a nice, neat little bow pretty quickly. Okay, so what did we hear there? We heard that a 48-year-old man who went to Brown in 2001 happened to take physics. He's from Portugal, supposedly. Last known address is Miami. And then had originally flown into Providence in October, even though he rented the car over the weekend, supposedly in Boston, which indicates to me he's probably staying in Boston. I don't know why anyone would fly to Providence when they fly to Boston Logan. It's going to be cheaper. There's going to be more flights, and you're not flying into the place you're going to allegedly commit this murder. Okay, so. And then it just happened so fast. They're tracking him. He's in New Hampshire, and boom, he's dead. Now, we didn't see much, and I will tell you this. The earlier footage, which I recorded, had all these police up there in Salem, and there was no sense of urgency. Like, literally, they interrupted the local NBC 10 out of Boston. They interrupted, or they were loud. The cops were loud in the background, and he's like, oh, something's happening. And it turned out they were ordering pizza. That was like an hour and 10 minutes ago. Okay. And again, I mean, I'm not there. We don't have any evidence. Just let me keep underlining that. But if you've got a suspect cornered in a storage unit, I don't know, man. I just don't see the police choosing that any time during that to order pizza. I didn't see, their tactical gear on. The whole thing is weird. But again, every police department's different. Just being fair here. But just, I guess what I'll say is tonight, record everything, every live, every news conference, everything they say, because this keeps changing. And by the way, I want to know what that chief was saying in Spanish. I've never seen a press conference where he responded to a question in Spanish and then didn't turn around and give it in English. Unfreaking believable. So I don't know. This whole thing stinks. Let me see. Let me get back to the comments. So that's what we know. We know. I mean, we don't know much. I mean, that was not. They had all this footage suddenly, which looks totally different, by the way, of the footage of the suspect walking around the campus, who was way fairer skinned, and they said something about identifying his financial records. Well, let me ask you this: if they had enough information about this guy that killed himself, this Claudio Valente Nunez, enough to identify his financial records to know that he rented a storage unit in a car, then how come they arrested? Oh, they're on, guys. Sorry. I will get back to it.
County District Attorney's Office. to this result. I also want to thank Attorney General Pam Bondi for her support in coordinating the federal response.
Questions?
Can you tell us anything about his motive and the two sets of victims and how they might be related and how he might be related to them?
That is not information that we can share right now. But as soon as
Are you able to say anything of what led you to link the two crimes, perhaps initially?
yes, the question was, how were we able to link him to the two crimes? So investigators identified the vehicle that he had rented in Boston and then drove to Rhode Island. And he was seen in the vehicle was seen outside of Brown, and there was security footage that showed a person who resembled him. There was financial investigations that were going on in the background that linked him not only to that car, but also to the hotels that he had rented and the car that he had used to not only drive to Rhode Island, but then back to Boston. And then there was the security footage that captured him within a half mile of the professor's residence in Brookline. And there is a video footage of him entering an apartment building in the location of the professor's apartment. And then later that evening, he is seen about an hour later entering the storage unit wearing the same clothes that he had been seen wearing right after the murder.
So you have an extensive video canvas as part of this investigation that leaves you no doubt.
This is the evidence we have right now. We are coming to you tonight because the federal complaint was unsealed, and we wanted to provide you with the information and to assure the public that law enforcement collectively believe that we have the person that we identified. He was the person responsible not only for the Brown shootings, but for the Brookline shooting.
Can you speak to before the self-inflicted gunshot wound, was there any interaction between law enforcement and another military? Like any words exchanged or anything like that?
No, when investigators went into the storage facility tonight to execute the federal search warrant, he was dead.
Do you think he entered there this evening?
No. No.
He entered an hour after what happened in Brookline.
Yes.
Did he rent that? Like how long?
Our understanding from the financial investigation is that he had rented a storage facility at the location in Salem, New Hampshire in November.
Can you confirm whether or not he used the same weapon in the Brown shooting as he did in the MIT shooting?
Ballistics investigation was ongoing and has not been completed at this time, so we're not going to comment on that.
Can you give us any sense of when you started to recognize perhaps that he was the same person? I know it was through the video, but when it sort of dawned on investigators that these two cases were related?
It was in the last 24 to 48 hours that my understanding, according to my understanding, is when the link began to be established. And that was mainly, he was using a phone that was obfuscating ability to track it. And he was using financial, like not credit cards that were tied to his name. And so he was sophisticated in hiding his tracks.
According to the complaint that was unsealed, it says that Dennis Fuente and the MIT professor had attended the same academic program together in Portugal from 1995 to 2000. Do you know if they knew each other? Or
My understanding is that they did know each other.
Have they been in communication since that last date?
I don't have any information to provide you.
Would you call this targeted?
We're still investigating the motive in this case and trying to, because like I said, he was very careful in his communications, and we just don't have any information right now to answer that question. But when we get that information, we will share it. The storage locker in which his body was found, my information is that no.
Was that satchel in the storage?
Yes.
locker? What was in it?
Can you repeat the question? I can't hear you online.
So the question was there anything else in the storage unit aside from the defendant's body? And the answer is he was found in there with his satchel. There was nothing else found in there that I am aware of, but they're still in the process of searching that facility right now. We don't have any information when he killed himself, but he was dead when investigators found his body.
Can you tell us anything about his life? Like, I think you said the last known address was in Florida. Like, what he was doing? Was he working? Was he in the field of physics, which he had studied? Any sort of biographical stuff you can tell us about him?
Because his identity was only become aware to us in the last 24 hours, I can't provide you with any of that information right now, but I'm sure once we have a full understanding of what he has been doing, where he has been, aside from the time when he entered into New England in November, we will provide that information. We have no information that he knew any of the victims or anyone who was at that auditorium on the night that he went in and killed.
Have you been able to find anything about when he did attend Brown, whether there were any issues? If he was there briefly, was he kicked out? You know.
That information hasn't been provided to us yet.
Given what you see on the video of the MIT professor's home, is there any doubt that he was the intended target of the killing?
The information that I know, and again, the investigations are going to continue to be able to provide you with all the answers that you are asking, is that there was no doubt that he was the intended target.
What was inside that satchel?
That is information that is still being, the investigators are still on the scene right now conducting that investigation, and we haven't received information as to what was in the satchel.
Was there any suicide note?
No information right now.
How about in terms of the charges themselves? I mean, there was a crime in Rhode Island and also the one here. How does that sort of get sorted out? How does he get charged, et cetera?
So there are state crimes, including the murders, and then there are the federal crimes, which is one that we brought tonight. The jurisdictions are working together, and we have been sharing information together and encouraging everyone to share information that could result in solving the crimes that were committed in their jurisdictions. And we will continue to do that if there are any doubts that are left with closing out those investigations. We will continue to share all the information so that we can share with you whatever motivations come to light as to why these heinous crimes were committed.
Are you confident, I guess maybe that's not the right word, but do you believe that he acted alone, or is there any evidence that anyone else was traveling with him when he came here?
We have no information that he was acting in concert with anyone else right now.
Anything interesting found in the car?
That search is still underway. But we will provide you again with more information as soon as we get it.
Anything more you can tell us about, you said he hid his own tracks. Can you talk about that a little bit?
So he was using an application on his phone, and there have been a couple of things. The Google phone doesn't allow officers to ping the direct location and get real-time location information about the phone. There was also beliefs that he was using SIM cards that were possibly European SIM cards that are carried through a provider in the United States, but does not provide real-time information about tower connections. The vehicle he rented, we have video of him renting the car at Enterprise here in Boston.
And the fake plate from Maine was just.
We haven't figured out now where he got that plate from. It was an unregistered plate in Maine. We have information that that plate was a very old plate that had been taken out of the registration status over a decade ago.
When his body was found, can you just describe what he was surrounded by? Can you just paint the pictures to what was in that unit?
What I can say is he rented one unit. His body was found in a unit that was not occupied. and there was nothing else in there from what I have heard, but this is information that I was getting an hour or two ago from agents who were conducting the searches there. When we get further information, the information will be made public, including in the returns for the search warrant that we obtained this evening.
Was he living in it effectively since after the Brookline incident?
I have no information right now as to the unit that he had actually rented. The tactical teams were there to search, and they were obviously concerned that there could be booby traps or other types of security issues. And so when they noticed that that storage unit was still locked from the outside, it was clear that he couldn't be inside. And so they started searching the abandoned or the non-occupied units with the approval of the management. And that is when they found the body right next door.
I know that you haven't had much time. Does he have any sort of criminal record that you know of at this point in time?
We are not aware of any criminal record in the United States.
Do you have any information about his life in Florida? What he did?
My understanding, it was South Florida. I know that they know the address, but nothing has been made public about that yet. And I'm assuming that there will be searches. I have no information.
And just to be clear, did he fly up from Florida for this, you think? Did he travel from Florida?
Again, the motive, and we have information of his being in New England throughout 2025. But once we get the information about why he came up here, what drove him to be up here, we will share that with the public.
How long he had been a lawful permanent resident of the U.S.?
I don't have that information.
Well, I mean, the only two ties that you have or can talk about now is he went to Brown and he went to this graduate school with the professor in Portugal. I mean, those are the only two ties that you can talk about now in terms of the relationship.
That is correct right now.
Graduate school or undergrad?
Whatever it was, I'm sure it's in the.
They were in school.
Jackie, a question. Do you know if he was in contact with anybody either immediately before coming to New England or after he got here?
That is not information that we have to share right now.
Just one more.
Do you know, did he have any contact with anybody else besides, the rental, the hotel, in his travels?
That is information that I don't have to share with you right now.
There's one question. Yeah, go ahead. Is there, there was been some reports on social media by this saying that a man who was homeless and was sort of living in at Brown was the one who sort of saw him and thought he was suspicious and took his plate number and then was urged by other people on Reddit to make sure he reported it. Is that true? You say there was a witness, but is his account true that he's the one that helped break this or gave a crucial tip? How would you describe that?
We did receive information from a witness who encountered him after the Brown shooting and gave information that was very helpful to the investigation and in identifying Neves Valente.
You're going to get the 50,000?
We'll let you know.
Did you say that?
The accounts that are on the record right now is what we can comment on, but we will provide again more information so that the public will have confidence in our investigations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I always listen to these broadcasts like right till the end because you catch a lot of comments from the reporters. Okay, guys, seriously, everyone. What the hell was that? Look, I mean, again, I'm not going to stay on too long tonight because I don't want to start rambling on and saying things I regret. You know me, I always like to have evidence before I state things. But if I get tired or emotional, I might state things that are just not based in fact. So I want to avoid that. I'm going to do a full breakdown of this. Actually, you guys, if you would, you could see Dallas Ludlam in the audience. Definitely follow him. I'll put his or follow. Actually, just follow us at Consumer DD. But just look. I know it's late. They just had a situation. Someone died. A suspect. Okay, at least they said the suspect. But there's some inconsistencies I want to point out just because I've been following this from the beginning. And by the way, this is recorded. If you see the address down there on rumble.com, please, subscribe, follow. It's free. We will post this full recording as soon as I can. And you could even go back on X, but we prefer you on Rumble. But yeah, go check it out. And look, it's investigate everything. And I should change it to everyone's investigating everything. This case has stunk from the beginning. Okay, we had 2 suspects. We had one suspect that supposedly was in the U.S. Army, and then that went away. And then we had another. I don't even know how the Mustafa thing came up, but that guy came up and they were scrubbing his profiles. And to me, I don't know. I mean, I'm not married to it, but let me just show you guys. Okay, this is, and again, this guy has been released, so I'm just making it clear. All right, so this is the guy who had all of his media scrubbed. This is Mustafa. God damn it. Sorry. I'm just trying to get this thing up here. I got to do this more often so I don't have so many hiccups. No, we don't want, we just don't want to go to money control here. Damn, guys. But anyways, they had this guy Mustafa. Okay. Now, I don't even know how this guy came up. I'm going to be honest with you. I caught it off Laura Loomer, but it turns out they were, oh my God, these pop-ups. Mustafa Karbouche, Brown University responds after deleted profile fuels speculation. Let me just read this to you if you haven't been keeping an eye on this. As investigators continue to hunt for the gunman behind the December 13th shooting at Brown University, online speculation has surged around a first-year Palestinian refugee student after his profile was removed from the university's website. Authorities, however, have made it clear. Oh my God, I'm going to. Authorities, however, have made it clear that no suspect has been publicly identified so far. Okay, on Tuesday, FBI official. Okay, just want to point this out. Sidebar: FBI official Kash Patel released. FBI official. This is definitely a left-wing publication because he's the director of the FBI, and they called him an FBI official. That's beside the point. Released a video timeline showing movements of a person of interest in the case. How Mustafa Karbouche entered the spotlight, I actually don't know, so I'm glad I'm reading this. As the manhunt entered its 4th day, attention on social media began to focus on Mustafa Karbouche. Users online speculated about his possible involvement after noticing that his student profile had been removed from the university's website. CNN, whatever they are, has not independently verified claims about the deletion of the profile, which is funny because the university actually confirmed it. And authorities have not linked Karbouche to the shooting anyways. Law enforcement agencies have also not named him or anyone else as a suspect or person of interest. Karbouche was identified online as a first-year student studying international affairs and anthropology with a focus on the Middle East. According to screenshots of the now unavailable profile, he was described as a third-generation Palestinian refugee born and raised in Lebanon. The profile also mentioned that he received a scholarship to attend United World College. I got to save this one. There's some good intel out here. Speculation intensified as some users on X alleged that Brown University was scrubbing references to Karbouche and claimed that social media accounts linked to him had also disappeared. That's not alleged. That happened. Why has Brown University suddenly erased every mention of Mustafa Karbouche, a Palestinian activist and first-year student from its official website, right as the FBI intensifies its manhunt for the shooter who killed 2 and injured 9 in the campus attack. One user wrote that user. Okay. Another claimed that Carbush had fled the university and was missing. Right-wing activist Laura Loomer also weighed in, claiming she had found a YouTube account under the same name that featured Islamic videos. Why won't police say that the shooter yelled what the shooter yelled before he opened fire? Allahu Akbar, which means God is great, it's battle cry type thing, is what witnesses heard. And there's witness statements. We'll get those all up. We're definitely going to follow this one up. Why is Brown deleting this Palestinian from their website? Is he a suspect? What I don't know is how anyone figured out they were deleting this guy's accounts if he wasn't a suspect. I do know Laura Loomer has some incredible contacts. I like Laura Loomer. I like her work. I think she does a really good job. She's very diligent. I don't care what anyone thinks about her. She's pretty thorough, and for someone who's not trained in like intelligence analysis and all that, she's on top of her game. So she has a lot of contacts. I just wonder how anyone would think to look for a certain student's profile that was being scrubbed. I mean, how would you know it was being scrubbed if you're not even looking for that student? So I don't know, but I would say that it's likely that someone leaked that the FBI or someone was looking at this guy, Mustafa. Brown University responds following okay, you don't need to hear all that. So the point is, all right, look at this guy, right? Now, if we go over here, we will see. Oh, I'm stuck. I'm going to have so many viruses on my computer after this. Okay, let me see here. Go to the images. All right. Now, this is the guy. I'll just pop up this person's post and give them some credit. All right, so here's a video that the police confirmed was a suspect. They confirmed the guy in this video is a suspect. Let's see if I can blow that up for you. Okay, it wasn't like anyone was being, it wasn't like anyone was targeting, Muslims or anything. It's just that, God, I think, man, I think I got stuck on some bad websites here. This is what happens when you don't prepare, but that's okay. Give me a second, guys. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Here's a good image. Okay. Let me get this up and I'll share this tab in just a second. There we go. Okay, so this is from Jazz McKay. He says, I only have 2 questions. Where is Mustafa Carbush, the Palestinian refugee, and why did Brown University scrub his profile pages? Why are his social media accounts removed or deactivated? Oops, that's 3 questions. Sorry. Okay, but what I want you to see here is this is the guy that the police in Rhode Island confirmed, yeah, that's our main suspect. Then you go to Brown and look at that. Okay. There he is. Someone did a gait analysis that matches with, oh, yeah, the Students for Justice Palestine protests he was involved in earlier in the year. Now, I today actually found something too, and I will share that with you. Now, look, I'm not saying this is the guy, but I am saying that this guy, Mustafa, looks a lot more like this dude here than that old man who's kind of hunched over with pretty tan skin. Okay. So there's that. But let me get to my X thing. So they didn't scrub all the profiles. This doesn't mean anything. Again, we're just collecting evidence. All right. We're just collecting stuff because something about this last thing just does not make sense. Okay. So I just want to call up a post that I put up today. Don't worry, I download and I save and I, basically archive everything. All right. So last night I was on a tear. I won't lie to you. Let me share this tab. All right. You can find this over at Brian O'Shea SBI. Let's get to work. Here's the thing. The reason why I'm like, hey, let's look at this is because you know, that's one of the only names we have. And the police never really explained why they were scrubbing that student. We don't know even how his name came up. So the thing is, that's weird all the way around. And if that's the case, if believe it was the AG there, that's that kind of guy that looks like every corrupt AG in every corrupt AG movie. Why weren't they scrubbing all of the Palestinian students' profiles if they're worried about his safety? Because that was their story. Oh, we're worried about backlash. And then it turned into this tirade from officials about how dare you ask questions on the internet? You're just making this worse. Even the senator from Rhode Island was telling people to shut up. And if anyone has that clipping, you want to send it to me, I'll pop it up. All right, so I basically was calling people to action. We're still going to do this. We have to, because catching the killer should be top of everyone's mind. They've already shown incredible ineptitude, the Providence PD, and they did. They didn't solve anything. They didn't solve a thing. Okay, they're taking all this credit. They didn't solve anything. If this guy that was killed tonight or committed suicide tonight, conveniently, was the shooter, and they're trying to make him the shooter of both, in both cases, MIT and Providence, Rhode Island. You see it happening. They also wrapped up there's no anti-Semitism here. They made that clear. There's always a couple of reporters who are local, and they do this in every press conference. They run interference, okay, on behalf of the people behind the podium. And so out of the blue, this guy asked earlier in the press conference, do you have any proof that anti-Semitism was involved? And they're like, great question. No. And yeah, maybe there wasn't. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is all of the things that were going out on social media as questions asked were shut down in one press conference. Just want to point that out. All right, so let me go on to, I was kind of rolling on. But anyways, I did find this, and this is the profile. Okay, and there he is. Middle East Studies, Graduate Student Association, supported by the center. It doesn't matter. There's a lot of Middle East studies and centers. I've used to study Arabic at the Middle East Institute in DC, but there's Mustafa Karbouche right there. And that's it. I mean, and what I told people to do is we got to look at all of this stuff here, because for some reason, someone was scrubbing that kid's profile. I don't know why. I'm not saying he's a suspect. I find it suspect. Okay. And just out of curiosity, let's click on it. I did save it, but let's go and click on it. Hopefully it's still up. But if it's not still up, we got a lot of questions. Okay, so the annual report is still up. I'll pop that into the chat. You guys can grab it, or you could go to my X. All right. So here's the thing. We have basically, all of a sudden, there's a suspect. He's in Salem, New Hampshire. That means he went from Rhode Island all the way up to Salem, New Hampshire. Let me pull up a map. But basically, that literally takes him right through where I'm at now, which is Salem, Massachusetts. Just an aside. So there's a couple questions here. Why did he have a storage unit in Salem, New Hampshire? Why not have a storage unit, I don't know, in, upstate New York, or, very Palestinian friendly place? New Hampshire is kind of purple. And if you're in the wrong place, New Hampshire, you could be in libertarian land. That is where the Pork Fest is held, which is the annual libertarian festival. The pork is the porcupine. That is the symbol. Don't tread on anyone is their slogan. I used to be a libertarian. Why New Hampshire? Why Salem, New Hampshire? So let's get a look at this. I think Salem, New Hampshire is about 47 minutes away from Brookline, because they said he went into the apartment, but he went to Salem within an hour. That checks out. Here's the thing. You notice when they asked about Brookline and the killing of the MIT professor, his house was in Brookline. She said he went into an apartment building near the professor's house. Okay. Doesn't mean anything what I'm about to say. I will say they have these things called multifamilies for the most part in Massachusetts. I have one. And they're kind of like brownstones, or like there's it's 3 units in each one or 2 units. But she was very careful the way she answered that. I do pay a lot of attention to semantics, because these things will go to court. All right. So looking at Salem, New Hampshire, let me just call up this map in a second here. I just want to make sure I'm not. Okay. Sorry for all that growling. Actually, I should do this more often. Why do I even plan podcasts? I should just hop on. It's a lot more fun. Okay. I'm just going to call this up while you guys talk. And so there's that. The other thing was, why would he go from Boston to Providence, Rhode Island, do a bunch of murders, swing back through Boston, kill a professor, because the professor was killed after the students were shot at and 2 killed, and they go right through the belly of the beast through to Salem, New Hampshire. I mean, none of this makes sense. Let me show you directions. I'm just going to pull this up here. Okay. Brookline. We're just going to map out the route here. Okay. I just want you guys to keep this in mind, because there's so many inconsistencies in that. And look, it's your quarterback to the cops. I do like cops. I think most cops do a great job. So this isn't that, but I just feel like we're being lied to. And I don't like the fact, just like that reporter said, I don't like the fact that they're telling us to shut up when we're asking questions. And we're not asking crazy questions. I'm not going to name the name of, but I will say this. It's almost like they're trying to shame people for asking questions. And I get it. Oh, I get it. I know exactly why they're saying that. I know exactly why authorities were saying, you're not helping, because we've all had to deal with someone pretending to help for the last 2 months. We won't get into it because I'm sick of talking about her, but that's why. But still, all they're doing is fueling speculation. Okay. People are worried about like the next Candace Owens. I could tell you right now, this case here has created thousands of them, and they're going to each have armies of followers, and great, free speech. That's great. I'd rather have them asking tons of questions. They could have fun. But they just made it worse. Okay. And they're going to gum this up, and people are going to put out lots of stuff on the internet that isn't true, or they wrote or anything. That's fine. That's their right. It certainly makes it harder to find things. Okay, that's why I always tell you guys, as soon as something happens, just turn on your screen record software and record everything you're doing, because it will change. And I'm so happy I did this from the beginning of the Luigi Mangione case, because so much of that has been tweaked and twerked and whatever else. But let me just pop this up here. So Providence, I'm just doing a little map route here. Then I'm going to wrap it up so I have some energy tomorrow, because I'm definitely getting on tomorrow. I don't know. I mean, as taxpayers, are you guys a little pissed off about that press conference? Because I certainly am. Okay. All right. So let me share this with you guys, and then I'm going to call it a night. So we got a lot to process. Share screen. I'll just share the whole window here. Okay, sure. Okay. So here we are. Okay, so this guy supposedly starts at Brookline. Okay. Goes down to Providence. Goes so he's going to go back up here through Burlington, and then go to New Hampshire, Okay. I will say Salem, I'll say New Hampshire's easier to buy ammunition in, but again, you could buy handgun ammunition anywhere. But then they also said for some reason he had Maine plates. Now, I grew up in Maine. Maine's pretty damn far from Salem, New Hampshire. This is the Maine border right here. And if my brother was awake, I'd call him, tell him to shake a tree, and we could see him on the map. I'm just kidding. But the point is, we're just on the border of New Hampshire, but he had Maine plates. Just none of this makes sense. Like, why not go out here? I drive all these areas. I know all these areas. There's a lot of woods out here. Like, why would you go back through 2 scenes of the crime? It just doesn't make sense. But again, we don't know. What do I know? I've done intelligence work. I'm not doing it, I'm not part of this investigation. But just remember what they said and keep an eye on how it changes, because it's my intuition, and I am a trained body language expert. I actually am. Used to teach a class, been quoted in a book called You Can't Lie to Me by Janine Driver. I'm seeing a lot of things. I haven't baselined them yet, but I will tell you there's a lot of things going on here. So let me look at your comments. If you got some questions, let's see them right now. So, all right, I know you guys can see them, but I'm going to scroll through. You might be surprised just how many private companies. Okay, we've been there. Got to get some sleep. Of course, Dallas. Yeah, I'm going to get some sleep too. Roman soda cheese brought you ad block. I didn't have time to do it. Usually I pre-record the videos. But thanks. I will. If you got a good one, send it to me and I will actually respond to your email in less than 2 months this time. I promise. Sorry about that earlier. Never see ads using it either. Dallas, good night. I love this community. Okay. Their own incompetency. Okay, so Roman Soda says their own incompetency, whether fake or real, has instigated the need within the public to crowdsource the truth. Abso-freaking-lutely. Totally agree with you. Absolutely. I mean, they had people out there kicking the snow. My cousin Ernie, good to see you, man. Yeah, it's Luigi 2.0. And if you don't know what Ernie's talking about, he's actually my real cousin. He's awesome. If you don't know what he's talking about, go to my Substack and check it out. Like, check out all the inconsistencies I found. It's not political. It's just I investigate things. And when I see things that just don't make sense, there it is. Go to my Substack there. You can read it for free. If you want to do paid subscription, I appreciate it. But you can read it for free if you need to. But the thing is, it's like just like the Luigi Mangione one. And Ernie, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's all I was thinking when I was watching that press conference. This feels just like that. And we found so many, and with the help of this audience too, so many inconsistencies with the state and the Fed's case against Luigi Mangione. I'm still convinced, I will stand by this to this day, even if he's found guilty. I don't even think that kid was in New York in December. I just don't. If you read my report, you'll know exactly what I mean. And I'm not speculating. I never do. I always bring my receipts. I'm basing it off the official records, the official complaints, everything. And I think the defense knows it too. I think they got the wrong guy. Okay. And when I said that to Chris Cuomo's producers on like December 5th, because they were going to have me on, because I said December 9th, because I said he couldn't have worked alone, whoever the killer is. His producer's like, oh, so you didn't think Luigi Mangione worked alone? I said, well, time out. I said, just so we're clear, I don't know if it's Luigi Mangione. And she was like, well, he got caught with a gun and all this. I said, yeah, he's got a genius level IQ. And he brought the murder weapon all the way to Altoona, and 18 cops just happened to show up, and they just happened to finish the evidence report 3 minutes before his arraignment, but only after New York listed what was found on Luigi Mangione. And that's changed again, by the way, Ernie. I got to do a Mangione update. The point is, you've got to literally just, for anyone who's never done like if you've never done a murder investigation, the reason I have is because as a licensed private investigator back in Northern Virginia, I would get jobs a lot from defense teams to be their investigator on murder cases. I've done 9 of them. And in almost every single case, the people were found innocent after 2 years in prison. And I would say the Commonwealth attorney, who's like the AG for Virginia, they had undeniable evidence that they had the wrong guy. They would still move forward with it. Why? I don't know. Politics, budget. They don't want to get fired. And another thing that they never do, this is really weird. In all of those cases, only one of them looked for the murder weapon. What most of them did, actually, I'd say all of them did. They go chasing after a suspect who was usually identified by someone who was a witness at the murder scene. Okay, so when you see these things here, this is very, very neat and tidy. Guy commits suicide. He looks nothing like the guy in the camera, just like Mangione. And he commits suicide while the cops are ordering pizza. And oh yeah, he swung by, on this way out of town, he swung by and took out the MIT guy as well. They didn't really explain either why he would be in Providence, Rhode Island. Yeah, I could go on all night. I'm just wow. I mean, I knew there was going to be some BS tonight. I didn't think it'd be that thick. These people can't even smell what they're shoveling. Anyways, before I get myself in trouble, let me let you go. But I want to talk about our sponsors really quickly because they do let me do this, and it makes it, you guys make it worth my while. But what they do is they support dailyclout.io, which is my wife Naomi Wolf's website, and they do great work and it supports them. Me, I just come here and hop on because I like talking to you and sharing what I know and getting your comments. So, but these are great sponsors. Let me just show you really quick. This is, okay. Yeah, you can see it down below. So basically, American Alternative Assets have this great booklet you can check out. You just go to https://www.cloutgold.com, cloutgold.com, as you can see there. I need to get some water. I've been talking so much, my tongue feels like a potato chip. American Alternative Assets, but gold is a great thing to get into, even though it's pretty high right now. I think the latest is like somewhere north of like 4,500 an ounce. Keep in mind it was about 1,000 an ounce into 2020, 2021, right around there. It used to be kind of a good hedge and to keep your money safe, especially if you're close to retirement age. But man, this thing is like quadrupled itself. And I see it's going to keep going up, gold, because the Chinese are buying the hell out of it. And we've been in a tug of war over Ghana with the Chinese for the last 4 years. Ghana happens to be the biggest gold producer in Africa. It's also the place Biden and the LA mayor went right before the LA fires. That's another story. But the point is, get into gold and also silver. Ask them about silver, but check them out and get the booklet, because it's one of those things where like you start having aha moments. You see the price of gold moving around. You can tie it to world events. That's what's so cool about it. That's what makes it a great investment too, is you can kind of predict what gold's going to do pretty easily. And you could decide, okay, it's going to take a dip. I want to buy more. But one thing about gold, it never goes below what it was 10 years ago. That is a fact. We have gold. I'm actually going to call my guy over there tomorrow and get into some silver. Silver's spiking like it's no one's business. But check them out. Go to cloutgold.com, order your booklet, mention this show, and share it. And I'm going to do a gold episode because I find gold fascinating. It does move the world. So get into it, check it out. And the one thing about these guys, I really like, super professional. They're not going to blow up your phone. They're not going to spam email you. They've been around for a long time, very trustworthy. I've checked them out myself, and trust me, I've turned down a lot of sponsors because they didn't turn out to be legit. And that's why I started Consumer Diligence. So check them out. And then also check out all the other features at dailyclout.io. And I think that is everything. But do make sure you follow us on Rumble and follow Consumer Diligence, Consumer DD on X, follow Brian O'Shea SPI, follow Dallas. You'll see him following me. You can't go wrong. We have a lot of stuff to do, but this crap here, I'll just say it feels like a cover up. I know Alex Jones said it yesterday. I know everyone likes to say it's a cover up. I'm not one to say things are a cover up. I don't think I've ever said that. But since the beginning, and I've watched every single press conference, this feels like a cover up. They're hiding something. It feels like kind of the Tennessee shooting. Remember, we couldn't find out anything about the shooter and then we found out, oh, the shooter's trans and was on all these drugs, and there's a manifesto. It's every single time. Remember, these are blue states. And I have a lot more investigating I've done on the AG and everything like that. But we got to get to the bottom of this. Oh, and by the way, in case you missed it, apparently the I can't make this shit up. The chief's son happens to be let me stop sharing that. So the chief's son, that Oscar, whatever his name is. Yeah, you got to see this. His son was arrested for being like one of the biggest fentanyl dealers on the East Coast. And apparently his brother was complicit. I mean, seriously. Let me see if I can find that really quickly. Then I will hop off. Chief and fentanyl. All right. And I might just turn on my screen. I'm trying to convince Alice to just turn on his screen and we could just work live. Okay, check this out. This is from Brandon Tatum. I like Brandon Tatum. Started listening to him not too long ago. Didn't agree with everything he says, but I like him. He's a good podcaster. He seems like a nice guy. All right, let me share this. This will blow your mind. Now, that chief we just saw, this is his son. Okay. There it is. Here it comes. Anytime now. There we go. I really need to get a new computer. Okay. Columbia-born Providence police chief now leading the investigation into Brown University. Shooting just happens to have a nephew. I'm sorry, not his son. A nephew recently sentenced to 22 years in prison for running a fentanyl ring in Rhode Island. The chief's nephew. All while his uncle was rising through the ranks of the same police department. And there's more, apparently. Apparently, the dean knew about it. I mean, the mayor knew about it and then promoted the guy. So, sorry, you had to see that guy in the toilet, but you get the point. There's just a lot going on here. Okay, that's weird. I was following him and now I'm not, so I'll refollow him. So just keep these things in mind. For lack of evidence that officials will not share with the public, and they can't share everything. I get it. Okay, I understand that. I'm not one of these people that thinks we need to know everything, because we can mess up investigations too. Okay, and if there's an open and shut one, I agree. The last thing you want is a bunch of people creating doubt and maybe tainting a jury pool. I totally understand. But I will say this. When you are not getting things that the police can share with you, like there's a lot they can share with you and they don't, and you just don't feel like it's right, there's a lot of things you can do that they may not think of. Like, instead of doing a victimology or a criminology centric investigation, criminology being you're looking into the potential killer, their patterns, everything like that. Victimology is you're looking into the victims. Who are they? Do they share common traits? That sort of thing. You can also look at everyone who's speaking at press conferences. Everyone has a vested interest to be behind that podium, and start seeing what they're into. And it's painstaking. You can't make leaps, but you just start listing that stuff out. Do a spreadsheet and see where there's points of intersection. That's a key to any investigation, is points of intersection. Okay, whether it's crime to the person to the person, you name it. And you see where they intersect. When you have a few people all converging on maybe just a few points, then you dig into that point. Okay, and that's when you start coming up with theories. And then you start trying to eliminate those theories, not prove them. You should always try to eliminate your theories, not try to prove them. You can always prove a theory on today's internet. you could say the earth is flat and you can prove it, but there's so much stuff on the internet. So the way I was trained is you come up with 3 theories and you eliminate them. And the one you can't eliminate, that's usually the one you want to dig in deeper on. Okay. And then the other thing, like I said earlier, record everything, archive everything, and then you have it. You can print it out as a PDF and save it as a file that will preserve it. But you have to do that because this will be different tomorrow morning. And that's why I'm glad, our streaming platform records these things. So you'll have at least that. So anyways, guys, that's it for tonight. Just an update and a lot of logorrhea on my part. But yeah, no, this one's got me pretty pumped up to find out what the hell is going on here. Cause let's just say something stinks in Providence, in my opinion. And by the way, my prayers and, deepest sympathies with the families, all these victims. It's never easy. Okay. And so may they rest in peace and may God have mercy on their souls. We never want to forget the victims. Yeah, I just wanted to just say that before I signed off. All right, guys, I will announce earlier when I'm going to go live. I don't know when I'm going to go live tomorrow, but I think I need to. And I think we need to jump into this. Okay, we need to dig deep. Because why? I'll tell you why. Hypothetically, let's say the guy that committed suicide was just a guy that kind of fit the general profile. If that is the case, I'm just saying this is hypothetical for the sake of argument. But if that is the case, good God, where are we living? This is stuff we got to stop now. And at a minimum, let's be responsible in how we do it. Don't send me things that don't have sources. Rum and Soda sent a great thing, tons of sources and links. Who, what, when, where, why, and how. If you can't answer those, then don't publish it. If you put something out on the internet, put a citation, put a source. It's not that hard. Don't just put an image of a newspaper article. That helps nobody. Nobody is going to scoop you because everyone is scooping each other. Nobody cares. What people care about is something they can rely on. So this audience, I really love you guys because you hold that high standard. I don't care if it's just a quick tweet. If you say it as a fact, have a source. Okay. Because as Roman Soda said earlier, we do have to crowdsource, but let's make sure that our crowd here and people who think like us, people who really just want truth, let's make sure that our crowdsourcing is not a value brand, but it's premium quality crowdsourcing. So with that, have a great night. I will talk to everyone tomorrow. Okay. And Dallas said he's going to join us. This man is an incredible analyst. So that's great. But everyone, have a great night. And let's pick this up in the morning. So this has been Brian O'Shea with Investigate Everything. See you tomorrow.